Good morning, friends. My name is Christine Anderson. I have a website called Earth Impacts, earthimpacts.net, and I'm recording to you today a compilation of a video I put together. So I'm just going to read a little bit of what I wrote about it, and so I want to probably introduce to some new concepts, and perhaps many others that are deep in the field of this knowledge right now. So let me read. I have been researching and writing for many years about the nature of reality, human consciousness, and how conscious awareness interfaces with our world. In the process, I became acutely aware that something wasn't correct about how we were taught to think of the world. Since early childhood, we were shown static models and given to believe that science knows everything. We are in great need to break down this paradigm due to the fundamentals of what lies beneath the physical form. This short video is in an endeavor to bring forth some information that we vitally need to become more fully aware of. At the turn of last century, many brilliant minds introduced a model of the universe based on energy, magnetism, and frequency. To name a few: Nikola Tesla, Dr. Wilhelm Reich, Viktor Schauberger, and Dr. Samuel Hahnemann, and Royal Rife. The fact is, this development of life-enhancing rather than destructive technologies was suppressed, stolen, and destroyed. Dr. Reich was arrested and spent the rest of his life in prison for developing a passive energy device that was bringing rain to the crop fields desolated by the drought during the Great Depression. I mention this to those who are unaware to give pause and question, why was this done?
They call me deranged. The hope is that they are right. It is of no greater or lesser import for another fool to wander the earth. But if I am right, and science is wrong, then may the Lord God have mercy on mankind. These are the words of Viktor Schauberger, a man born over 100 years ago into his role as a guardian of the earth. Among the magnificent Austrian forests, he grew up wanting only to become a forest warden like his father, grandfather, great-grandfather, and his father before him. But life was to take Viktor far from the peace and solitude of great mountains and forests. Instead, he was to lead the struggle to preserve the earth, the forests and rivers, attacking the exploitation of nature as early as the 1920s. Nature was his teacher. Through an understanding of nature's principles, seen in the flowing motion of water, he gave the world a vision of how technology could be transformed to render free, non-polluting energy for our use. He warned of the consequences facing humanity if the present death-oriented technology continues. He died, betrayed by the same powers who promised to make his dreams a reality. Commercial gangsters who take all and give nothing back to the world. When a man dies, the bell tolls. When the forest dies, and with it a whole people perishes, not a finger is lifted. It is known that for the death of a people, the death of a forest has preceded it. All across our planet, the forests are being destroyed at a frightening rate. From the Amazon to Sumatra, from Siberia to Australia, from Alaska to California, the great virgin forests are rapidly vanishing. the victims of logging, acid rain, and drought. Only 50 years ago, this part of California was a vast, primeval redwood forest, truly a paradise on Earth. Today, less than 4% remains, and every day, more of these ancient giants are felled. It was in such a paradise that Viktor Schauberger spent his childhood, at home in the forest. Even the family motto, "Faithful to the silent forests," echoed the deep respect the forest wardens once held for the trees. From an early age, he was a keen and astute observer of nature. He learned directly from nature, closely studying the relationship between the earth, the trees, and water. But water, the lifeblood of the earth, became his consuming passion, and he set out to discover its laws and character, to learn the secrets of its power.
Those whom are committed to keeping the world in a materialistic model ruled the day, and so we entered the Industrial Revolution. And with it came the dominance of the machine. From petrochemical fueled engines to the building of dams to produce electricity, we have negatively impacted our world. We've been turned into consumers with little awareness of the ongoing destruction this mentality is creating, nor do we know what lies behind it. Human consciousness is now at a juncture, and we must choose whether to allow this destruction to continue or to open our minds and hearts towards suppressed science and a more metaphysical or holistic view of reality. For as we allow for the continued destruction of our biome, we are also experiencing damage to our bodies and the bodies of our children. Through the overuse of pharmaceutical drugs and all the side effects, coupled with the now prevalent use of psychotropic or mood-altering drugs, millions of people all over the world have been irrevocably harmed. For many decades now, I have been a free thinker and a deep diver into the unseen realm of energy. My work in this short video is to introduce suppressed knowledge and real science. It is an offering to help others come to an understanding of the true nature of reality. We know, as has been scientifically proven, that meditation and prayer have a positive effect on the whole, as well as on the individual. To take this one step further is to open the mind to see how this occurs, to open the doors of perception, and to open our hearts is the whole key. Once we fully comprehend how every thought, word, and deed is creating reality, we have the real knowledge to be the change we want to see in the world. This short video is an introductory one. I'm using clips from the work of many others: Michael Tellinger, Dr. Emoto, Hans Jenny, and Viktor Schauberger. I will include in the article I write links to resources for those who want to delve deeper. This is an introduction to the science of how the finite or physical meets the infinite or full potential. Once we learn to think with our heart's biomagnetic field, the possibilities are infinite. I am collaborating with a good friend, Tom Salas, whose work in the field of plasma physics, along with hundreds of other brilliant minds, are developing a new science, which, in actuality, is an ancient one, based on the fundamental properties of energy, electricity, magnetism, and resonance. With love and an observant, clear mind, we can create anything.
Tesla tells us that in this interview in 1928, it says that he disagrees with the accepted atomic theory of matter and does not believe in the existence of an electron as pictured by science. Tesla goes further and says that the secret of the universe lies in the beauty of 3, 6, and 9. And anyone that studies the number 3, 6, and 9 will know very quickly that these are the fundamental numbers in vortex maths. Vortex maths is all around 3, 6, and 9. Toroidal fields, vortex, toroidal fields, same thing. Toruses are vortexes, create vortexes. Vortex maths is all about studying toroidal fields or donut-shaped stones. Planting a little seed with you. In toroidal fields, everything is a toroidal field or a torus. Everything starts out as a torus, and especially sound. Sound being the primordial source of everything, because God said, "Let there be light." It's really important for us to understand how sound manifests into toroidal fields, toruses, torus shapes like that. And this is why every time our heart beats, it creates a very powerful toroidal field around our bodies. And because sound does not stand still and sound moves, that moving sound that creates a toroidal field around our body creates a magnetic field, and that moving magnetic field creates an electromagnetic field around our bodies, all because of our bloody beating hearts. Isn't that beautiful? And then you got to ask yourself, what makes your heart beat? And doctors have no answers for that.
It is a film to describe to you and explain visually the effect of cymatic frequencies on texture, structure, water, oil. If you spare a little of your imagination as you watch this film as it runs, you will see many things that answer many questions. You will see living forms, living amoeba, almost animal-like creatures. You will see continents being formed, the earth itself coming into existence, explosions, eruptions, atomic explosions and bombs. You can see all this and watch it before your eyes, but everything owes its existence solely and completely to sound. Sound is the factor which holds it together. Sound is the basis of form and shape.
So let's bust the dogma of science. There are no particles. Okay, everything originates in toroidal fields of resonance, and it starts with the subatomic particles like the electron. Electron is simply a coherent resonance in a toroidal field. And this is really what an electron looks like, something like this. The torus model of the electron. Everything manifests in toroidal fields. Nothing is exempt from this. atoms are toroidal fields. Atoms are not these crazy things that we've shown as atoms today, the atomic model that we get shown today. That is a complete, that's a theory. It was never been proven to be absolutely accurate, and this is why it's so difficult to work with atomic structures, and atomic field science is so complex, because they just seem to be barking up the wrong tree. Ilya Lakitsevich, who was with me at the Ubuntu Festival in South Africa, is one of the world's leading plasma physicists, and he's one of the strongest proponents of a toroidal atomic structure. The importance of magnetism is really critical for us to understand that everything has magnetic properties. This is a short little 4-minute video from UCLA that really hits the nail right on the head.
You might not think of water as being magnetic, but it is, and so are graphite, aluminum, and glass. This is a new and different category of magnetism called either para or diamagnetism, and it's different from the magnetism that you're used to. You're probably already familiar with ferromagnetism. Ferro means iron. An unmagnetized piece of iron, or nickel or cobalt, becomes a magnet in the presence of a magnetic field. The effect is strong and lasts even after the magnet is removed. Paramagnetism is a similar effect, except that it's much weaker and temporary. Aluminum is a good example of a paramagnet. And so is oxygen, which is attracted to magnets. Here, I have a few milliliters of liquid oxygen, which sticks to the magnet. I'll explain why later.
So remember, water and oxygen.
Gadolinium oxide and cupric sulfate are good examples of paramagnetic substances. Cupric sulfate is a salt that can be picked up by a magnet. Diamagnetic materials are exactly the opposite of paramagnetic. They are always repulsed. They would rather die than be in a magnetic field. An important example of a diamagnetic material is graphite. This specially made pyrolytic graphite is repelled by a magnetic field. Don't be confused. This is not static electricity or eddy currents. Graphite is repelled by a magnet, always, both by the north and south end. Pyrolytic graphite is a grown crystal of flat carbon layers which maximizes the diamagnetic effect. Of course, the best diamagnets are superconductors, which at low temperatures provide exact opposite repulsion to whatever magnetic field is present when they're chilled. They are perfect diamagnets. The most famous and powerful diamagnetic is bismuth, element number 83 on the periodic table. The bismuth-powered boat sails toward the weaker magnetic fields.
Okay, you got it. So magnetic fields create toroidal shapes. You can even see it if you put a magnet down like this, and the iron filings clearly show the toroidal shape immediately. But the perfectly balanced toroidal shape, or the balanced magnetic torus, looks like this. And once again, I think we've been fooled by being taught about positive and negative, because in the perfectly balanced magnetic field, there seems to be no positive and negative. It seems to be the same charge working in opposite direction, one coming from the top and the other one coming from the bottom. And this is really interesting, that needs to be discussed and investigated a lot more. So this is the torus spinning from the top down and from the bottom up in opposing directions, the same energetic field. And where they meet in the middle, where that bright green dot is in the middle, that is what some people refer to as the 0 point, or as Nassim Haramein calls it, the vacuum. That's where you enter the infinite vacuum of the infinite density of creation. And we can thank Nassim for giving us the physics papers that show that the density of the vacuum is infinite. So, therein lies the important understanding how sound moves faster than the speed of light, because the resonance and the sound frequencies that get sucked into the torus, that's what they do. They suck it in and they also give it out. Actually, what the torus does, it pulsates all the time. It pulsates like this. because it's moving. Sound moves. So it pulsates, goes in and out all the time. So there's stuff going in and there's stuff coming out. And as it meets at the center there, that's the 0 point, or entering the infinite density of the vacuum of creation. Out of that infinite density, everything in creation seems to manifest. And it is at that point that you get the accretion disk that is then spread out at the galactic torus, the toroidal galactic equator, okay, or the disk. But, now quickly, the denser the medium, the slower the speed of light. If you put light through a medium, the denser the medium, the more it slows down the light. The converse is true for sound. The denser the medium, the faster the speed of sound. That's why sound travels faster in water than it does in air. So how fast does sound travel in an infinitely dense medium? Infinitely fast. Okay. So every thought that you have is a frequency. Every word you say is a frequency. Every muscle, every move your muscles make is a frequency that creates an effect around you. Every time you think, you move, everything you do goes into the toroidal field that's made up in your body, that makes up your body, the atoms of the molecules of the muscles and everything in your body at the atomic level goes into that central toroidal structure of your atoms. It goes into that central point, or the vacuum, that infinite density, and from that it is available to everyone everywhere in creation. And this is why ancient people knew how to communicate with anyone everywhere across all space and time. Because every thought you have is immediately available to everyone everywhere in all of creation.